Hello guys, just a little add-on from the last lesson that I did, which was to do pinch pots, making this very cute little turtle that could have been any other kind of animal. And that was, I got called off to a class, I had to run, and that was you must put a hole inside there so that when it goes in the kiln, it won't explode. It's science. Air expands when it becomes very hot, and these become up to 1,000 degrees in the kiln, and the air would make it explode. So anything that's got trapped air in, you must make sure it's got a way to get out. So the most obvious place, and kids love to put holes in an appropriate spot there, but it could be the middle, could be the nostrils, could be the mouth. It doesn't really matter. As long as that air can escape, it won't blow up. And the second thing is to make sure you put your initials on the bottom very clearly so that it doesn't confuse with somebody else's beautiful little turtle when you have problems with that. Awesome. So that was from the last lesson. Thank you. Okie dokie. So what we're going to do for this first lesson is a very gorgeous, old-fashioned kind of craft that people did when they needed to make things like bath mats, mats for the floor, rugs even were made of these things. They've discovered in history, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, people used to do this kind of thing of recycling, and especially in hard times, to reuse things like rags, things like woolen clothing, anything really could be woven into something like this. Now, I got this from Bunnings the other day. I was shocked to see it there because it's all coming back. It's a fashion, it's a craft that we can do at home, and it doesn't cost us anything. So that was quite a surprise to find that, because I know my nan used to make these. She also used to make different things out of plastic bags, like the bags that started coming into bread. She would weave them, crochet them, and do an amazing amount of craft with things that most of us throw out. So with the kids, what I do, and there's various different, well, going back to a time when probably your parents and your parents' parents would remember getting these kind of things at school, and they were wooden boards that were cut in various different sizes, and they had holes drilled all around the side. Then bits of cane was put in there. Now they aren't around much anymore, but that was a thing that people used to do, weaving baskets. It was very big, probably after the Depression, for those people who remember the Depression. And what we do at school is I recycle bits of cardboard. It could be just a cardboard box. It doesn't have to be picture framing cardboard, which this is, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be this. And I'm also going to show you how you can do it with fabric, and that's weaving with fabric using recycled fabric. This is a piece of cardboard that the kids, this is a leftover one from a student, has measured 1 centimetre intervals, both sides of the bit of cardboard, cut with the scissors down to that 1 centimetre little area. Don't cut, tell the kids not to cut, or kids don't cut too high into there. And that then is used to wind string. Please don't be a knot. Anyway, that wasn't a knot there a minute ago, of course, but that's okay. There we go. And that can be threaded onto there. It doesn't even really need a knot, but a knot would help out. And that is to go to there. All right. You can either go back there and make use of that without, some people would wind it around and around and around, but that takes up double the amount of wool, and if you haven't got a lot of wool, it's probably better to hook it into that centimetre slot and then go back through the other one. Just doing this is fun for the kids. They just enjoyed doing this part of it when we did it a few years ago. And back into there. So you do that all the way down, securing it by knots at either ending. Now, of course, you would add on bits if that's not enough, and it wouldn't probably be enough to do the whole lot. So it's just any kind of wool or string that you happen to have lying around. Even, this was a student a couple of years ago that they didn't take home with them, so I always recycle students' work to show other students. Now, this is good old farming twine, so it's something that farmers probably don't have a use for, and you can get hold of some and make this. Now, this was all on a board, so that was that, but then at the very end, they tie off, once all the fabric's there to hold it together, you can cut this off and tie it up, and there's various different ways of ending it. This student chose just to tie it like that, but macrame and those kind of crafts are very in at the moment, and that could make a really nice wall hanging. It could probably not be a mat for the ground. If it was bigger, it possibly could, but these would not be all that water absorbent, so that was just for fun a few years ago. There's one of the boards that is completed. This student chose to go on both sides, It never got finished, so it's something that I would show you. And this one is 3/4 finished. The student has woven, and it's an in and out process where you go above and below the weft of the string that's there. So if I haven't got any more of this colour, but I have torn, and that's probably what you need to do after you've done your winding, is to do a preparation pile. Now this is something that I just did yesterday to get prepared for today, and the various different things in here. This is just some packing, what do you call it, foam I suppose, and this is a little bit of batik from Indonesian studies that a good friend of mine gave me, and it's otherwise wasted. You could incorporate it in your weaving. This is just some raffia that you could use. This is an old pair of pyjamas of my daughter's that you can just cut up, and the process of cutting up to do this preparation box is simply get a pair of scissors. Most fabrics, especially natural fabrics, will just tear, which is, the kids love this too. So you just tear it to make your long strips, or you could spend hours and hours cutting it, which this is more fun. This is a lot more fun to tear the fabric. And you get all these bits of fabric. So you probably sit, went in a different direction, that's all right. You could probably sit for half an hour and do all of that. It's just going back to some of the old-fashioned kind of crafts that people used to do. So I'll keep those out and we'll use those. And this is an old tea towel that I started cutting up. Same deal. Makes a really great sound. Gets the bit of a workout too. You have to go to the gym when you're a crafts person, because these are nice, strong pieces of fabric, which once you've cut them up, don't show all nasty sort of things that might have been on an old tea towel. So you prepare all of that. Just put that back there. Okay. And going back to here, how you do the weaving itself. And I'll use a piece of this, which is this lovely pyjama fabric that I'm going to use in the next project as well. And that one ended above the cord, so this one goes under. So where you began and you ended on the top, you'll go underneath. And the next one goes on top. And you can do this with your hands. You could find an old big eyed needle to do it with. So, I didn't do that right, did I? Back up, back up. And that's why you have to keep a bit of an eye on. And an eye on how long the piece of cotton is that you're putting in there. There we go, that's about it. So have a little bit hanging over there so that it won't do that. And you don't have to have it flat, you can scrunch it up. So that one went under, so that one, the next one has to go over, under. I'll speed it up a little bit. Under, over. Hard to sort of do standing up, but that's okay. And you pull it through, and you've got that next row of fabric. Now, as I said, you can push all of this down and do a real tight weaving like that, and every now and then do it so that it's not so much that you're doing. Therefore, it would be thicker, it would be more absorbent if you were making something that needed to mop something up. But it's basically in and out, over and under, over and under, over and under. And you see how if you don't leave a little bit of extra and you want to bunch it up, it's using up more. And you can scrunch it down like that. So that's weaving. You can weave with absolutely anything. You could, if you're a really rich jeweller, you could weave with spun silvers and golds. It can be as flash as you like, or it can be as economic as you want to. You don't need anything fancy. I've seen beautiful, in the gallery of Perth, I've seen magnificent pieces of artwork done with newspaper. You know, they're sculptural things done with newspaper. The next project's going to use newspaper. You could do newspaper, and it's a bit of a pattern happening. You could do newspaper, you could do brown paper, newspaper, brown paper, newspaper, brown paper. So you get into a bit of a rhythm and a bit of a pattern. And a pattern is a very simple, repeated thing. So it could be some hair, human hair, and I've seen a lot of things in museums made by weaving people's hair or animal hair or leathers from different sorts of animals going back in history. So it can be pretty much anything you can weave, anything that's bendable. Of course, rigid things aren't so easy to weave, but something that's really soft you can weave in and out. And it's really kind of fun to do, and it actually can make something really useful. So that's really good. So another quick front of weaving, just before I end up, is I found an old tea towel. It's got paint stains on it. And another thing that you can do, if you don't want to do it on a board, you can straight up fold the tea towel in half and leaving all the edges secure. Don't cut over the edges. Cut down. Cut down. Tear to the end. Yes! There we go. Good job. And there. Speed it up by doing several at a time, like that. That's great. There we go. And doing that all the way along and opening it up gives you this perfect thing laid down on a table to then weave soft fabric within soft fabric. And you would end up, you could possibly sew off the ends if someone can help you do some sewing kits, or mums and dads doing this, you can make sure that you can even tie it off. Like when the Western weaves go in there, they can tie off, and that's all good. So that would give you something already contained, ready to go, and you can make a little mat for it, for your bedroom, on the floor. And all it was a art room tea towel. That poor old thing over years has been a bit stained. So weaving, pretty much anything, lots of fun, and you can make something that's really useful.